Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 13th August 2021. Okay, let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles. Let us first of all take overview of all these articles, then we will discuss them one by one. First of all, landslips in Himachal Pradesh. Yes, there is one editorial on page number 6. Yesterday we talked about this particular incident and the analysis and explainer, two important articles on page number 6 editorial, on page number 8 explainer. Okay, so yes, once again we have to take input from GS1 paper, geography part. So it talks about the natural and as well as man-made causes of landslide as a natural hazard. We have to understand at the same time in GS3 paper, disaster management. So landslide as a disaster and the measures that are required, the vulnerability of the Himachal Pradesh for such kind of natural hazards, natural disaster, we have to understand way forward also. Okay, so this is relevant to our mains examination. Prelims related developments. Yes, there is one article on page number 6 that talks about the education system, or we can say during the pandemic time. So already that topic is discussed many times during the Hindu analysis. So let us not go into detail, but some important points we will take input from prelims pointer. Okay, one index is mentioned in that article. So from the about that index we will learn here from prelims pointer aspect. Okay, stringency index is mentioned there. Okay, so for prelims examination, GSLV F10 fails to put Earth Observation Satellite 3 satellite into orbit. Okay, so failure that happened yesterday, you mentioned about that in the classroom. Yes, so about that failure, there is one explainer on page number 10. Okay, so we have to understand where that launch failed, at the same time the significance of this satellite, the objectives that this particular satellite had. At the same time we have to also understand the basics about GSLV and PSLV. Okay, then on page number 1 of supplement Friday review, there is one supplement on Friday review, and on Sunday magazine. Okay, two supplements on the Hindu newspaper. So first page of that, it talks about Ramappa temple. Earlier also we covered about this, but more detailed information about the architecture of this temple. Ramappa temple was recently included as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, 39th site in India. Okay, so that's why it becomes important for prelims examination, as well as the art and architecture, temple architecture as part of mains examination also, GS1 paper. Yes, then common survey to count elephants and tigers. So from now onwards, from December onwards, there will be a common census that will be carried out for tiger as well as elephants. So this is going to be cost effective method, because 90% of the habitat of elephants and tigers is same. So that's why, to reduce the cost as well as time, such common survey will be conducted. Okay, so at present what is the method that is used, the number of tigers and elephants, some factual information is also mentioned there. Then Al-Mahad Al-Hindi naval exercise between Indian Navy and the naval forces of Saudi Arabia, that is being conducted in Saudi Arabia, near the coast of Saudi Arabia. So this is important because all the armed forces bilateral, trilateral and multilateral exercises between Indian armed forces and important bilateral partners, other countries and regional groupings, that becomes important for prelims examination. And finally, some prelim pointers and important information that we find in other isolated articles. So we will cover them here in finally, and finally some practice prelims MCQs on this current affairs. Yes, so first article, another warning. There is one editorial on page number 6. At the same time there is explainer, landslips in Himachal Pradesh cause concern. Okay, so holistically we have to discuss both articles as a part of GS1 paper, geography, as well as GS3 paper, disaster management. Okay, so first of all, the present situation that we are having, the landslide that happened on National Highway number 5, National Highway number 5 in Kinnaur district, Himachal Pradesh. A similar kind of landslide happened 2 weeks back in the same district, Kinnaur district, that also resulted into loss of life. Okay, so yes, NDRF and state disaster response forces, they are still working on rescue operations. Okay, and they are finding the bodies as well as those people who have been buried under the land there. Okay, rocks and debris. Fine, this is the present situation. Now, the vulnerability of the Himachal Pradesh, let us understand some factual information here. When we talk about the landslide hazard zonation map, so this suggests that about 70% area of Himachal Pradesh, 70% of area of Himachal Pradesh is under high risk. At the same time, 60% area is under severe risk of landslide. Okay, this is the situation. At the same time, major part of the also comes under earthquake prone area. These two important aspects shows the vulnerability of Himachal Pradesh for landslides. Okay, so as we know that the fragile nature of the slopes of these Himalayan mountains, we need to protect the integrity of these slopes because of the man-made factors. For example, the kind of, let's say, development aspects that are there, large hydro projects, construction of roads along slopes, deforestation, we can say unsustainable tourism practices, all these are man-made factors of faulty development model. What happens for large hydro projects and building dams? There is, let's say, artificial, we can say, explosives are used there, and which are disturbing the natural slope that is there of these Himalayas. And because of that, the integrity of this slope is disturbed, and in future what happens is there is always chances of landslide in that region. And these chances are further increased because of the nature or the vulnerability of this area for earthquakes. This is a much younger, we can say, that landform. Himalayas are much younger, they are tectonically still active, and the nature of the sediments that are there in the Himalayan mountain ranges, they are, we can say, loosely attached, unconsolidated sediments, and therefore they are acting as more vulnerable. They increase the vulnerability for this region for more landslides. Okay, so these are man-made factors. However, we have to also understand in recent times, climate change is also aggravating this situation. How? Climate change is resulting into increase in variability of rainfall. This is resulting into changes in river regimes. So there is less amount of summer rainfall and there is increase in less amount of summer rainfall due to monsoon. At the same time, the melt water is decreasing. in these rivers. This is due to, we can say, climate change effect. At the same time, there is also increasing vulnerability due to glacial lake outburst floods. Glacial lake outburst flood. So this also acting as a natural hazard in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand also, right? At the same time, we have to also understand that due to climate change, there is decline in snow cover, receding glaciers. So they have also harmful impact on the ecology of Himalayas in that region. Now what is the nature of impact? First of all, let us understand that. Have the impacts of climate change manifested in Himachal Pradesh? Yes, surely. What are the manifestations? You need to know about this also. Manifestations of climate change in Himachal Pradesh. First of all, there is decline in rainfall and snowfall in Shimla. This is observed. Second thing, there is increase in overall temperatures, annual temperatures in Himachal Pradesh or Western Himalayas as a region in last 1 century. 1.7 degrees Celsius temperature as an overall increase in temperature in last 1 century is observed in Western Himalayas. Third thing, as the snow line is, we can say, receding, because of that what is happening is the impact on agriculture, the quality of apples, there is decline in quality of apples. The apple growing regions are increasing in the height, we can say they are moving upward towards slope, along with slope, and lower height, we can say that due to increase in temperature, there is shift towards growing vegetables instead of apples. At the same time, due to increase in temperature, there is more instances of pest attacks and diseases. Bacterial, viral diseases on the fruits, or that we can say that the different kind of crops, vegetables that are grown. So this is the manifestation. At the same time, you can see that there is changes in the river regimes. When I say regime, that means the amount of water that is flowing, the volume of water that is flowing through the river channel at particular time of the year. So there is changes in the amount of water volume in Satluj, Ravi, Chenab. So these rivers, Beas river, which are, we can say, the tributaries of Indus river. So the amount of water that is flowing, that is fluctuating. So these are the manifestations of climate change. So remember that man-made factors as well as, we can say, climate change, again we can say that overall that is man-made factor ultimately. This is resulting into the increasing instances of natural hazards of landslides in that region. So what should be the way forward? First thing you should understand that sustainable model of economic development, this should be adopted. So decentralized and local community participation in economic development, we can say that ecotourism, conservation of natural resources by the community, at the same time the agro-based economy rather than manufacturing sector and all these things. There need not to be promotion of manufacturing sector, service sector in such fragile ecology. Agro-based economy should be promoted. At the same time, local community participation, especially for the conservation of natural resources, forest resources that we are talking here, and minimal deforestation, and the construction activities, especially road construction, that should be there only in after understanding the fragile nature of those slopes. Okay, so whatever the activities that are going to be done, that should be only done after understanding the impact, short term and long term impact of those economic activities. Okay, so instead of large dams, small dams should be built, and the hydroelectricity should be produced if we are talking about the hydroelectricity or energy security for the state. Okay, large dams is not at all solution for Himalayan states, both Himachal Pradesh or even we can say that Uttarakhand also, because Uttarakhand is also facing the same problems. Fine. So what could be the question here? Analyze the natural and man-made factors which make Himachal Pradesh vulnerable to different natural disasters or natural hazards. Okay, so you can write natural factors. We can say that fragile ecology of Himalayas. At the same time, they are vulnerable for earthquakes also, tectonically active. And man-made factors, you can mention 4 or 5 important factors there. Fine. Any question? Yes.
And the particular instance already hydro power plants and some of the construction has been already done by the erosion of some land layers. It is possible to restage of that landscapes and whatever destroyed places. It is possible, sir, by the
Yes, it is possible, but again what happens is, let's say after the utility of the dams is completed, let's say, then they can be decommissioned. Okay, but what we can say that whatever the construction that happened in the past, that is fine, but from time to time evaluation of the safety of the dams, this is very important. Why? Because the river regime is changing, the amount of water flow is fluctuating, and because of that more and more sediment load brought by the rivers, that affects the strength of the dams, and in future there is always possibility that dams may be broken. Okay, so the flash floods that are happening and the vulnerability of dams in future increases. Okay, so that's why we have seen that in Uttarakhand recently. Okay, so that creates a situation that whatever the dams that are already built, so there either they should be strengthened and periodic review should be done for decommissioning of those dams. Okay. Yes. Now the next article, that failure of GSLV F10 EOS 3. Let us understand that the failure of this particular rocket that happened, and this was not able to launch. Yes, what was the function of EOS 3 satellite that rocket was about to launch? Earth observation satellite 3. As the name suggests, it was for observation or mapping of Indian territory for resource mapping, then second aspect you can say for disaster management, and through this warning system, early warning system, by observation. Okay, so whatever the disasters that may happen, so that is being observed, that is to be observed through these satellites on continuous basis, and the warning to different areas, dissemination of that warning through the satellite. So this was an important function of this satellite, but now it is not launched, the failure happened. What caused the failure of the mission? Yes, the failure happened in the third stage. Okay, so this is cryogenic stage, we can say. So generally the cryogenic stage is very difficult to achieve, and India has not achieved the proficiency in this particular stage. Earlier also failure happened because of this failure of cryogenic engines. Okay, so the third stage is very critical for the we call it as cryogenic stage, which provides the impetus force to this satellite or the rockets. So there the failure happened. First and second stage were successful. Okay, so here in the cryogenic stage, rocket failed to ignite in the cryogenic stage, and because of that the failure of mission happened. Okay, so yes, you can understand that the cryogenic stage is the problem here. Now what do we know about GSLV rockets in India? Yes, GSLV stands for geosynchronous satellite launching vehicles. There are two types of launching vehicles. Okay, so geosynchronous satellite and polar satellite, PSLV. So in India, ISRO has achieved successfully, we can say that, marks in terms of PSLV. But in GSLV, the latest one, GSLV Mark II is the latest one, we can say launch vehicle that India has built. And this GSLV Mark II it can carry the satellite load of up to 2500 kg, and we know that GSLVs put the satellite in geosynchronous orbits. Okay, geostationary orbits. What is this geosynchronous orbit? These geosynchronous satellites are always in line with Earth's, we can say, rotational speed. Okay, so Earth rotates around its axis in 24 hours, though the satellites are also having the revolution time period around the Earth of 24 hours, and that's why they appear stationary above the Earth at that particular location. That's why sometimes they are also called geostationary. Okay, now this geosynchronous orbit is at around 35,700 km above Earth's surface. 35,700 km above Earth's surface. But polar satellites, which generally revolve around the poles like this, around Earth, right? So they are actually, we can say, revolve around near Earth orbit. Okay, so this is the difference between these two. Generally, geosynchronous orbit is near the equator. Okay, or we can say it is moving around the equator, revolving around the equator. So that's why we call it as equatorial orbit also. And polar satellites in the polar orbits. Fine. So this is the difference that you should remember. Yes, what is the question? I think it was GSLV Mark III. No, GSLV Mark III is actually that engine that is developed, but we can say that GSLV Mark III, yes, that is in still testing stage. This is developed and successfully launched also, Mark II. Okay, in GS-3 Mark III, we are actually showing our capabilities in what you can say cryogenic stage, as a cryogenic engine. Okay, so that is still in we can say development stage, but sometimes that has been successful, but that is not yet used successfully for launching of this geosynchronous satellites. Fine. One more difference you should remember about the revolution time period. The revolution time period of geosynchronous satellites is the same as that of Earth's rotation time period, 24 hours. But PSLV or not PSLV, polar satellites revolve around the Earth more than one time in 24 hours. Okay, their time period is less, so they swipe more area in one day around the Earth. Okay, so this is the major differences you need to remember. Polar satellites revolve around the Earth in low Earth orbits. Fine. Okay, any other question? Now, this is also important, Ramappa temple that we are talking about. Ramappa temple was recently included. Yes, EOS was launched by GSLV Mark III this time. Yes, and that was successfully launched. Okay, so EOS that was launched through GSLV Mark III. Okay, so that is what I am telling you, that is not successfully demonstrated yet. Okay, but GSLV Mark II is the latest technology that we have demonstrated successfully. Okay, yes. Now, Ramappa temple is the 39th such site from India that was included in World Heritage Site list of UNESCO. And the 40th site recently that became was Dhaulavira in Gujarat. Earlier we talked about that. Now, Ramappa temple, on first page of that supplement Friday review, there is very good article written about the architecture. Let us know more information about this temple, located in Telangana, also known as Rudreshwara temple. Okay, some factual information. This is built by the general of Kakatiya ruler Ganapati Deva. Kakatiya ruler. Okay, so Racharla Senapati Rudraya. Okay, Racharla Rudraya, the general of Kakatiya dynasty, Kakatiya rulers at that time in Warangal. Okay, it took 40 years to build this temple, which was completed during 13th century. Okay, so Kakatiya rulers were earlier the, we can say, lords of Chalukya dynasty, and they separated from Chalukya dynasty and ruled during 12th to 14th century, medieval India time period, 12th to 14th century in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh region, that is there at present. So you need to remember Kakatiya dynasty also. Now, architecture of this temple. So Ramappa sculptures have carved out this many such sculptures in black basalt, one of the hardest stone to work with. Okay, so black basalt is used in sculptures. So the temple is neither named after presiding deity, that is Rudreshwara, nor general who commissioned the project, but after the sculptor who built it, that is Ramappa. Okay, the temple rests on foundation that uses sandbox technology. Now you need to understand sandbox technology also. This is unique technology that is used to build the foundation that is protective of any earthquakes. Okay, sandbox technology. In this technology, what they do is, the foundation of the temple is filled with sand and jaggery and different fruits. Okay, so this acts as a shock absorber for any kind of earthquake that may happen in the region. Okay, so it is filled with such kind of material and then the strong foundation is built. So that's why the, remember, sandbox technology. Fine. At the same time, the dance guru Nataraja Ramakrishna used dance poses carved out in this temple to revive this Perini Sivatandavam, a Kakatiya era warrior dance form performed by men. This can be asked in prelims examination. Okay, so Perini Sivatandavam, a Kakatiya era warrior dance form performed by men. So yes, this is kind of, let's say, martial art dance form, warrior dance. So this can be asked in your prelims examination. So this much information is sufficient. Fine. Now, common survey to count elephants and tigers. So there will be All India Elephant and Tiger Population Survey in 2022. This will be launched in this year end in December. Okay, so this is important information for prelims examination. At present, tiger census that is carried out is in 4 years, every 4 years, and elephant census is carried out every 5 years. Remember this information also. Tiger census 4 years and elephant census for 5 years. Okay, now the tiger census that is carried out, the technology that is used is like based on sightings in camera traps, indirect estimation methods, tiger numbers are computed. According to latest census of 2018-19, 2,997 tigers are there in India. And when we are talking about the elephant census, the number of elephants, last count 2017 was conducted 29,964 elephants in India. So around 3,000 tigers, around 30,000 elephants. Okay, so this is the information you should be aware about. This common All India Elephant Tiger Population Survey is being carried out to save the cost, because around 90% of the territory for both species is common. Okay, so that's why the common survey is being carried out. Up till now, the 4 yearly census for tiger and 5 yearly census for elephants were carried out. Yes. India, Saudi Arabia begin naval exercise. The name of the naval exercise is Al-Mohad Al-Hindi. Okay, Al-Mohad Al-Hindi, and from India, INS Kochi participated there, and this is being carried out in Saudi Arabia port Al Jubail. Okay, Al Jubail port in Saudi Arabia. So INS Kochi earlier participated in last week a similar kind of naval exercise with UAE. What is the name? Zayed Talwar. Okay, Zayed Talwar is with UAE Navy, United Arab Emirates, of the coast of Abu Dhabi. Fine. So 2 naval exercises recently happened with UAE Zayed Talwar and the ongoing Al-Mohad Al-Hindi with Saudi Arabia. Remember these names. In the earlier times also many such naval exercise happened. Maybe you are having follow-up, you should have follow-up about all types of armed forces exercises, bilateral as well as multilateral. Fine. So this Al-Mohad Al-Hindi comprises of number of shore and sea-based drills between the 2 navies. Finally, some prelims pointers and important information from different articles. For example, that elephant census and tiger census related article, there was additional information of Asian elephants are enlisted as endangered in IUCN Red List. There are 2 types or species of elephants, African elephants and Asian elephants. Around 60% population of this Asian elephants is located in India only. Okay, so this is also important. Then global stringency index this is what I was talking about. On page number 6 there is article related to education. So there the mention of this index, this can be asked in prelims examination. Global Stringency Index is created by Oxford University. Okay, and this Oxford COVID-19 government response tracker is there, which is receiving the information from different countries about the lockdowns and measures that are these governments taking in dealing with COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, it is about how strict a country's measures were and at what stage of the pandemic spread it enforced this. It is measured from 0 to 100, higher the score, higher level of stringency. 0 to 100, higher the score, that means 100 score, 100 the highest level of stringency. This was there when the first time lockdown was imposed last year in March month. Okay, India scored 100 at that time. The most stringent lockdown in all over the world. Fine. Yes, with around 17% new and additional information regarding the vulnerability of the tropical cyclone in Odisha coast. Okay, so this factual information you can use in your answers related to mains examination. With around 17% of India's coastline, Odisha faces around 35% of cyclonic storms along with tidal surges. The vulnerability of Odisha coast specifically. The Odisha state is 6th most cyclone prone in the world. Okay. At the same time, the last 10 years, Odisha has faced 7 such severe, very severe to extremely severe cyclones. You can use these kind of information whenever the question is related to disaster, cyclone as a disaster in GS3 paper. Okay, so vulnerability of eastern coast of India, specifically Odisha coast, Utkal coast. So you can give this additional information, factual information in support of your argument. Fine? Yes. So what should be answer to this question? Yes, C 1 and 3. We have to find the correct matching pairs. Yes. Additional information we have added in this question. We wanted to check whether you are having follow up on the earlier current affairs, because these naval exercises happened in recent times. Okay, so which of the following pairs of naval exercises in Indian Navy are correctly matched? Yes, C is correct answer. Al Mohed Al Hindi, Saudi Arabia. Just now we talked about this. So this is correct answer. Correctly matched, sorry. Second, Zayed Talwar, Oman. So this is incorrectly matched. So Zayed Talwar is with UAE, United Arab Emirates, right? So this is incorrectly matched. So second is incorrectly matched. That means elimination method should have been used by you. Even if you are not aware about this, that means wherever you find 2 in the option, this should be eliminated and you are writing the correct answer. Okay. So yes, Varuna, France, this is actually correct. This exercise happened in April month 2021. 19th edition of Varuna with French Navy. Okay. So latest information, you should be aware about all these bilateral and multilateral exercises. Yes, C is the correct answer. Very good. Fine. Any question about these articles? Okay, then let us stop. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.